Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I'll be breaking down the last week of April, as you can see, starting from Today I'll be breaking down the third week of April, as you can see, starting from 21st of April 2025. And 21st of April, Monday, was a Easter Monday, so the banks in London were closed. So also a quick news: Monday there was no news, Tuesday no news, Wednesday there was whole day news, so whenever there is whole day PMI news, that is when it is very tricky to trade, as we know by now, by experience. So Thursday it was unemployment claims news, and Friday there was GBP retail sales. So after knowing how the news looks like, that is when I go to the weekly. The weekly bias is clearly bullish according to how these candles are closing. And yeah, the supply demand fair value gaps, you guys know better than me, and not better than me, but yeah, I've already explained it very thoroughly. And now on the weekly time frame, you can clearly see the weekly bias going on DXY is bearish. Yes, there's always a chance that the price can come back and fill up this fair value gap, but according to how this candle is looking right now, my draw of liquidity was this one: supply demand fair value gap, market structure shift, and my bias was clearly DXY was bearish and GU was bullish, right? That is when I go to the daily time frame on GBP USD. On GU, on the daily time frame, there are so many fair value gaps. Obviously these fair value gaps, every fair value gap has a reason. I will tell you why. So right now the only valid fair value gap is this one and this one. So if my bias was bullish, I was targeting this fair value gap here. And on Monday, I didn't trade in Monday because it was Easter Monday and the banks in London were closed. And yeah, that is when I didn't trade it Monday. And Monday was literally a very bullish day, as you can see, and it was also a Marabuzu candlestick, which is also known as flat body candle in SMC concept. You can see there was no wick to the downside, which clearly indicates that there are huge amount of buying happened here on Monday, right? So that is very valuable information for us. Now this daily fair value gap right here got filled to the T, and this daily fair value gap right here got filled to the T. Now this daily fair value is invalidated because it's already got filled. And now that is when I go to DXY to see what happened. Even on DXY, the draw of liquidity was swept very early on Monday. Monday was a very volatile day, and literally it literally went down on the daily demand zone. As you can see, there was a market gap, I believe, on DXY. And now going on Tuesday, my bias will be clearly bullish, right? According to how this candle closed. Yes, you can argue that now it is in a supply zone, there is a small wick, but obviously it's better to look for buys because of the overall candle. The overall candle is looking like bullish rather than bearish. You either don't trade if you are not convinced, you don't trade, or yeah, if I will be looking for anything, it will be buys. That's it. So also on Tuesday there was no news, April 22, as you can see. So now going on Tuesday, I'm looking for buys again. That is when I go to the H4. On the H4 I look for, on the H4 there was a change of character. There was nothing, to be honest, on the H4. On the H1 time frame, you can clearly see there was also nothing. So I was looking for a buy. I waited for the Asian range to close. Obviously I aligned it with the DXY, right? You guys saw. And my bias on GBP USD is bullish, right? So whenever my bias is bullish, the higher time frame bias is bullish, I want the Asian range to go down. If the Asian range goes down when my bias is bullish, that's a high probability setup, because obviously when the market is going down, it will find some sort of support from a demand zone, right? So in this case it didn't happen. The Asian high got swept and we found some sort of resistance from this supply which was made on London session, which got swept. London liquidity got swept and then literally went to the downside. It was a counter bias trade. But I didn't took this trade because my entry on the M5 was not there. Look at this call out. So Tuesday was a no trade day for me because the entry was not there. But yeah, it made sense. The counter bias trade did make sense, and it works, and it literally works because I've seen it work so many times with my own eyes. And yeah, everything has a probability. So if you lose one time, doesn't mean that it doesn't work, right? And if you win one time, doesn't mean that it works every time. You have to have complete psychological control over yourself and yeah, don't give in to your emotions in trading. Trade literally like a robot. If only when you can trade like a robot, that is when you will become a best trader. If you want to become a best trader, trade like a robot, man. That is when, now going on Wednesday, I'm looking for sells because of how the bias changed. Monday went up, Tuesday went up, made the high of the week, and now literally on Tuesday we got a bearish candle, and whenever on daily time frame I'm getting a bearish candle, I'm looking for sells. That's basically it, right? So on DXY also, the bias on Wednesday, on Wednesday obviously it's bullish because of how that Tuesday candle closed, and on Wednesday there is a lot of news, I believe. Yes, whole day there is news, so it's gonna be very, very tricky. So Wednesday I just didn't took the trade, so I will just show you the candle. And yeah, Wednesday I didn't took the trade. And if I show you the lower time frames, what I did on Wednesday, I was looking for some sort of trade from this H1 supply zone here, because this supply zone was made in our session, which is New York session. But yes, the price did went up. The Asian range was bullish. Everything I want to see in a trade was there, but this trade I have not taken because I returned the call out. Wednesday was a no trade day because the setup didn't appear. Yes, on EU this setup appeared. EU was a winning day for us on Wednesday. As you can see, it reacted from some sort of supply here, right? But on GU it didn't give us the trade because there was no sort of supply zone. If there was a supply zone here, I would have anticipated this trade and I would have literally won this trade. But maybe Rob Dono has taken this trade. Yes, he has taken this trade because he takes trades if he has more experience than me, so obviously I have some time to get in this level. But yeah, even me, I'm understanding a lot of things in the market now. Wednesday was literally a winner, but I didn't took it, if it makes sense, right? So trading with a daily bias is literally working for me, to be honest. Everyone has a different edge in the market. Some guys trade ICT, some guys trade SMT, some guys trade simple price action, head and shoulders. Even them, those guys are profitable, bro. It's not about the strategy, it's about the person who is using the strategy. Trading is everything apart from trading, man. If you are disciplined in your day-to-day life, then you can become a profitable trader, or else you can't. That's the bottom line. So now on Thursday, going on Thursday, there was unemployment claims. On Thursday I was looking for sales again, because until and unless the price shows me that it wants to do something else, I trade with the bias, right? So Thursday I believe I took a loss, I believe. Okay, so Wednesday was a win. So now going on Thursday, there was a change of character happened to the downside. That is when the H4 time frame, I only watch the change of characters and some draw liquidity sometimes. But on the H1 time frame, you can clearly see I waited for the Asian range to close, as always. After the Asian range closed, if my bias was bearish, I wanted the Asian range to go bullish, right? But in this case, the Asian range was literally consolidating, you can argue, or very, very low volatile, so which is very good, to be honest. The M30 supply zone that I wanted to trade was made on New York session, but to be honest with you, yes, this made sense. This was a genuine loss, to be honest. I would have taken this trade if I would. And yeah, that is when the other confluences come in clutch, right? Whenever your setup is not clear, or the higher time frames, the Asian range is not clear, this setup was only invalid because of the London session. I trade the London time window, 7 to 10 AM UK time, right? So the 7 to 10 AM UK time London session was literally bullish. It was a 50 pips move, I believe. Yes, it was a 50 pip move, as you can see. So I took the trade not in our timing. That was my mistake. And yeah, I got a 1:1, but I don't target a 1:1. It was a 1:1.3. so it was basically a loss. And yeah, losses are part of the game. It's totally fine. I'm totally fine taking losses. I'm habituated taking losses, because you have to. If you want to survive in this game, you have to be habituated taking loss and taking wins also, right? Don't be underconfident when you lose, and don't be overconfident when you win. Don't let a win go to your head, and don't let a loss go to your heart. That's it. That is what's required to become a profitable trader, man. So now going on Friday, my bias changed from bearish to bullish, and now it is aligned with the weekly bias being bullish, right? My weekly bias was bullish, so now the daily bias is aligned with the weekly bias being bullish, so it's already one confluence there. And going on Friday, I'm looking for buys, and also there is GBP retail sales news. On Friday I did caught a beautiful trade. I will show you how, where, and when. So now on DXY, literally my bias was bearish, which was aligning with the GBP USD. So whenever DXY and GBP USD is aligning, that is when I tend to get the best trades. And now Going on Friday, there was a change of character happened to the upside on the 4 hourly, which is exactly what I want to see. And yeah, if my bias is bullish, I will target some sort of liquidity here, some sort of draw of liquidity somewhere on here, some equal highs right here, right, as you can see, according to Rob Tono. And now going on the H1 time frame, if I'm looking for a buy, I would first look for the wait for the Asian range to close. This was literally a perfect setup. The market opened here, right? So the only demand zone that I wanted to, not the only, but the demand zone that I wanted to trade was here, which was previous London session, right? So if a setup is going to appear, it's literally appears in front of your eyes. It can't hide itself, right? So this trade was literally a perfect setup. It was an A-class setup. The only problem was in news, but also the news was in GBP's favor, as you can see, 0.4%, which is green. That means it was in GBP's favor. And yeah, the higher time frames, Asian range, point of interest mitigation, mid time frame rejection on the M15 doji rejection. I have also journaled this trade if you guys want to have a quick look in this trade. This was a beautiful trade, and yeah, it gave me a 1:3 risk to reward. But this was a M1 change of character entry, because on the M5 there was no entries. The only problem in most of the trades, not only this trade, are the M5 entries. We are not getting M5 change of character entries often, because obviously, yeah, that's very rare. So that is why even if everything I want to see in a trade is there, and M5, the only thing that's not present is the M5 change of character and equilibrium. That is when I go to the M1 and take the entry there, and that's totally fine. I've decided that. And yeah, if I took this trade on the M1, I believe my entry could have been a bit better, which was the which 8 pips. Then if it was an 8 pips stop loss, then it would have been a 1:4, and it would have passed me the first phase of my challenge account, man. So one trade is enough. That's why less is more. I'm telling you again and again and again, less is more. You don't need to trade always. You need to catch only the best trades and only take those trades with high risk. That's it, man. That's how you pass from challenge accounts, and I believe you can do it. You have proved it. Now you have to prove it. Right? So this was the weekly breakdown. And yeah, Friday literally went up. Even New York session went up, and if I holded this trade, this would have been a 1:10, I believe. So but I didn't. So yeah, I got my profit. I bounce, right? I don't try to be in the trade very long, because I'm an intraday trader. I get my setup, I get my trade, I got my risk to reward, I bounce. So this was the weekly candle, how it closed. Now going on the next week, let's see what happens. The video will be dropping very, very soon, which will be today itself. And yeah, so now see you on the next video.